Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartofilis.
Devin, man, what's going on?
Not too much, John. How are you?
I'm doing great. Really excited to have you on and really just the energy right for this episode and all the cool stuff we do. I mean, it's definitely gonna be a lot of fun, and with all the cool places you played and everything, definitely going to be a fun discussion about just your path to this basketball journey you're on.
Absolutely. Excited to talk about it.
Awesome. I mean, so I guess just to get us started, I'm curious, maybe, I mean, taking it all the way back. I mean, I guess most people talked about your pro career first, but I mean, just in terms of your career at Dayton was awesome. I'm curious what the high school experience was like. I guess people don't ask you about that often, but what that high school experience was like that led to the recruitment for you going to Dayton and having such a great career there.
Yeah, high school was interesting. I grew later on. My sophomore year, I remember I was called up for varsity. I was the only sophomore on varsity, but I didn't really get a chance. And then going into my junior year, I have to say his name because he changed everything for me. Mike Thomas III. He's now coaching in Grand Blanc High School in Michigan. Just won a state championship there. He came, and I'll never forget. I was on the golf course with my friends, and my phone rings, and I pick it up, and he's like, "Hey, this is the new coach at Kalamazoo Central. This is Mike Thomas, and you're going to be my guy. You're going to be unanimous All-State, and we're going to win a state championship." And he told me this is the first time we ever talked on the phone. I was like, "Okay, cool. That sounds good to me." So he got there, and he basically just gave me the reins, man. I was a confident kid, but I became much more confident once Mike came, and I got unanimous All-State my junior year, and we lost in the state championship. And then the next year we came back and we won the state championship. And I got recruited pretty late. So after state championship, we went to state championship my junior year. More and more offers started coming in. And I remember I took a visit down to UD and to the University of Dayton. And I fell in love with it. I mean, there's 13,000 fans in there, packed to the brim. And I couldn't get over that experience. And I committed my junior year, and I ended up getting hurt my senior year early on. So I missed part of that season, but it ended up being the right decision.
No, huge. And then right once you got to it, I mean, there's definitely so many awesome moments that you had while playing there. I mean, which one was your favorite? And then whichever one you pick, I mean, I have a couple other ones that I guess would be pretty cool too.
Yeah. You mean at Dayton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. You know what? It's hard to, go against us going to the Elite Eight. That was obviously an unreal, unbelievable experience. But I think my freshman year, we went to the Atlantic 10 championship. We had a chance to go to the tournament my freshman year. I just remember playing in that atmosphere. Was still in Atlantic City at the time, at the boardwalk. And it was a good atmosphere, but I don't think anything can beat out the Elite Eight. People always ask me which game, in that Elite Eight run, but I never really know which game. I think they were all special in their own way.
I mean, that's so cool. I mean, definitely the Elite Eight, I figure would be in there for sure. But the Atlantic City thing is definitely really cool. I'm thinking about being a freshman on a team, right? Not really, maybe still getting acclimated even later on in the year, and then just having a great experience, like going to an awesome tournament and doing all that cool stuff. So that's definitely a lot of fun. The one thing I saw, the first thing you type it into Google on their videos is this bank three you made to win the game against Ole Miss. I mean, that was awesome in overtime, and that was super cool.
Yeah, I forgot about that actually. Yeah, to this day. Well, actually, I've had some game winners as a pro, but in college, that was my only game winner. And it was just one of those road games where the whole crowd is against you. And I think it was our last non-conference of that year. And the play wasn't even for me. It was for V. Sanford, who is now a 7-8 year pro overseas. And he messed the play up and went the wrong way. And I just came back and got it. And I'll never forget when I shot it, the guy calling the game said, "Nope." And then it banks in, and it just was incredible feeling, man. The locker room after that was a lot of fun. Game winners are always the best.
That's awesome. I'm surprised. Normally when the shot's called for you, you're going to make sure you get the ball. It's funny that the play was called for someone like, yeah, I'll go the wrong way. It's like,
yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to let Devin get this moment of glory here.
I mean, it's still really, really cool in doing that. And obviously wrapping up a great career Dayton with the Elite Eight run too. You guys obviously had a lot of team success. And just, of course, I would imagine a great run overall. Leading into right after your senior year, you declared for the NBA draft. What did that whole process look like of graduating school, declaring, playing in summer league? Like, how did that all kind of shake out?
Yeah, it was an interesting experience for me. I like early on in high school, I was late bloomer. College, I was again, kind of a late bloomer. So, I didn't have anyone in my life that had experienced these type of situations and been through this process. So it was kind of all new, and, it was a learning process for me, but it was fun, man. I moved out to Los Angeles. I was with CAA initially when I came out of college, and I worked out with a great group my first year out in LA. We had Gary Harris, TJ Warren, Elfrid Payton, James Young, a lot of guys, and there were pros in there every single day, and this is me fresh from the University of Dayton. I haven't really experienced anything like this. This is my first taste, and it was just a great experience. I got a lot better. It was a lot of fun being in Los Angeles and getting to just go and work out and play basketball every day. And then I went and played for the Celtics for summer league. Didn't really get a chance to play. And I think also that was a great experience because that showed me the political side of things. They had guys like Kelly Olynyk and Marcus Smart, who are guaranteed contract guys, but the assistant that was coaching us at the time decided to play them, which I think speaks a lot to Boston as an organization. Even though it's summer league, they're trying to win. You know what I mean? So I learned a little bit of that side of the basketball world, but it was good. I got experience. I had ups, I had downs. I got to meet a bunch of new people that are still friends to this day. So overall, I cherished it.
And then, I mean, definitely just an awesome experience all around, just obviously playing with such high level guys and just feeding off that energy. Right after that, of course, and you might need to correct me on a couple of these pronunciations for some of these overseas teams, but right, we have Limburg United from Belgium. I'm pretty sure I got that one right at least, but some of these other ones might get a little tricky. But maybe, right, so you signed with them in July, right after the summer league. I mean, how quick was that? I mean, had you ever thought about playing overseas before? Like, I would imagine, right, everything kind of happened so fast after summer league. I mean, how did that all kind of take form?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially when we made our Elite Eight run, I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. I'm going to go have some good workouts. I might have opportunity to get drafted. Like I said, I was unaware of the process and everything. I don't remember exactly when that summer after summer league had ended, but I knew that I signed relatively quick. My agent, had informed me that Belgium is a great place to start out for an overseas guy, solid league. I just got extremely fortunate that when I got over there, my manager was an American and my coach was an American, which any overseas basketball player, management, whatever, will tell you that's pretty rare to have two Americans as a manager and as a coach. So that made my transition, a lot easier, and that was great.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sure that having those American coaches, especially for the first one, is just super key. And then, of course, later on, everything always changes up, and whether it's from team to team over in Europe, right? Everything's kind of happening quick, and that's kind of just the lifestyle of playing overseas. And right, so you had that American coach maybe to kind of help you out for that first year. I mean, what was the lifestyle like maybe that first year after that, and really getting acclimated to life over there?
Yeah, it was nice. It's weird because a lot of Americans have never left the country, let alone their own state. So for me, I just basically wanted to immerse myself in the culture and the environment, And when I got there, I lived in a small town, a little bit outside of Hassel. The city that the team was in was Hassel. So I got to meet the people, and, I had a small little cafe near me, and I would go in there every day and just interact and talk with people. And that really helped, just trying to, as type of person I am, I'm very sociable. I want to, put myself out there. And that's probably been the biggest thing that's helped me, acclimate myself to being overseas, is just immersing myself in the culture. And for the most part, people in Belgium, besides the older generation, most people spoke English, which was also very helpful.
That's huge. And then, of course, after that, maybe first year, second year, it didn't take you too long to get really acclimated to life overseas, being 2 times finals MVP over in the Slovenian league, winning championships there. I mean, I'm sure, right, everyone, when they think of the team success, the great teams you've been on, they think of those Dayton teams. And of course, those were awesome. But winning championships, being finals MVP of those teams in Slovenia must have been great. I mean, what did that transition to Slovenia look like? And then, of course, getting to the mountaintop.
Yeah. So after my first year in Belgium, I went to Israel for about half a year. And, I got my first taste of the bad side of the overseas experience. Just, money issues, money being on time, things like this. And I ended up leaving. And then I went to France for the last couple months of that season. I was home for a stretch and I went to France. So my stock, as far as European basketball goes, had kind of dropped, right? So going into that next year, I ended up going to Slovenia, which is now basically a second home for me. My fiance is Slovenian. I played those 2 seasons there, and I just really, really regained my confidence. I really regained my flow, and A lot of credit has to go to the coach that I had there. He believed in me, and I just played hard every minute I was out there because I was so thankful to have basketball back, because the previous year I knew what it was like to not have basketball. And just, making it to that point, I don't care where it is, what league, what team, you win a championship in any category, any level. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing accomplishment. I always want to be team first because of my Dayton success, my high school success. It was always team oriented things. But to also win finals MVP during those 2 years, it was tremendous experience and something I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Oh my God. I mean, I can only imagine, right, what that's like. And I mean, thank you for walking us through that whole thing of just, I mean, the context behind those finals MVPs, because of course they look great just as a line of text, but there's definitely so much more underneath that. And right, you mentioned how like you're very team first. You don't really look at it as that kind of individual award things. And you're wearing a hat right now for those that are listening and can't see that says I'm more than an athlete. So what does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you? And how do you try to live that out every day of your life?
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, LeBron James is my guy. I just, not only his basketball prowess, but also who he is as a person. I mean, taking care of where he came from and, building schools and doing all these things off the court to help those around him. I think for me personally, I am more than an athlete. Is a lot of times, specifically in our situation, we come from America and we go overseas, and I would say that, oftentimes we're looked upon as pawns in a way. Like if I were to get hurt, the team would take care of me and compensate me, but they're going to bring someone else in. You know what I mean? And I think I've always made it my point. I always made it my effort, my idea to make sure people understand that's not all I am. I'm not only a basketball player. When we have team events overseas, I try and go do things to help the kids and, just place myself out there as more than just a basketball player. Place myself out there as a person, a genuine person, someone who lives the right way and has the right morals and values. And, I think more than anything, that's resonated more with people in my career than just being a basketball player. Because listen, I'm a damn good basketball player. If you ask me, I'm a damn good basketball player. But more than that, I want people to know and understand that I'm a good person because it's how I was raised. And I think that's what really matters.
It definitely is what matters most. But of course, it's important to realize that you are a damn good basketball player. And I mean, maybe the funniest moment of all that would be you challenging Barack Obama to a 1v1. So I have to hear that story because, right, I mean, it takes a lot for someone to challenge, the president of the United States to hoop. So, I mean, what did that look like for you? And taking that kind of shot and making that kind of claim and saying, I'll check up. I want you.
Yeah. Check up, Mr. Obama. Yeah. So it's a really crazy story. We won a contest in high school. It was called the Race to the Top Commencement Challenge. And it was the first time the White House had ever hosted it. Basically, students at the high school had to create a video to get Obama to say, okay, I'm going to want to go speak at their high school commencement. A lot of these schools had very high quality videos, very well done, edited, produced. And we did ours ourselves. It was just the kids, the high school kids, and we cut it and put our shots in how we did it. And I think Mr. President just loved the authenticity of it. And we got chosen for this commencement challenge. So the high school graduation comes around and he makes his speech. And, as we walk across stage and get our diplomas, we got to shake his hand. It was him and Arnie Duncan, who played basketball at Harvard. He was a secretary of education at the time. And everyone was just walking past. I'm Oliver, right? So I'm about middle of the pack as far as getting my name call goes. And he's shaking hands, everyone's shaking hands. And I get up there and I'm like, man, this is Barack Obama. This is the first Black president. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. So I went up there and I kind of gave him one of these, and I just wrapped him. I brought it all the way in. And it was really cool. And I kind of said to him, Mr. President, I heard you can play some basketball. I think we'll have to play a game of one-on-one sometime, And he kind of laughs and he goes, no, this is the guy you want to talk to right here. And he was referring to Arnie Duncan, who played basketball at Harvard University. So we just kind of shared that little quick laugh, little moment. I didn't want to hold the line up too much. But the funny thing was, after I left, everyone was coming up there and now everyone was doing this and the girls were giving them hugs. So I kind of set the precedent for all that. But yeah, that was cool. And, once we went to the Elite Eight later on in my senior year at Dayton, it kind of came back to fruition and the White House ended up tweeted something out. To this day, we don't know if it's directly from Mr. Barack Obama, but it had the BO at the end. And he referenced the one-on-one game. We might have to play that game. So how it all kind of came full circle was really, really cool.
That is an insane story. It's funny because I imagine, right, you rapped and brought it in. The guy, whoever was the A's and the B's and the C's must have been like, oh my God, they must have been so nervous, right? Shaking Obama's hand. And then you obviously said the president, everyone was just like, man, this guy's, I mean, he was obviously the man. So it's so cool. I mean, just that little back and forth, little quick banter. And then of course, I mean, that tweet, I had no idea about that tweet. That tweet's so cool. And thinking about whoever, whether it's him or the White House, whoever put that out, definitely some cool stuff.
Absolutely.
So cool. And then just in terms of, I mean, with what you're playing now, with the TBT teams that you played with in the past, I mean, the Red Scare team you're playing with this year, is it a bunch of Dayton alumni? Like how is that happening? How'd you get introduced with TBT? I mean, there's so much with that super cool league to go into there.
Yeah, we've been doing it now for, this will be my 6th year maybe that we've done it. And I got to give a lot of credit to Joey Gruden. He's done a great job of maintaining and managing and kind of putting this whole thing together. I've helped in parts. We've kind of been a two-headed snake, but most of it's been Joey. And we got our main core that we've had pretty much every year now, and we've added a couple pieces. And Devin Scott and Brandon Spearman, who went to Dayton for their freshman year. Devin multiple years, but Brandon freshman year. And then we got another guard from University of Michigan, Xavier Simpson. So we're excited, man. I think we filled in a couple pieces that we've really needed. We were in the Final Four last year, and the year before that, we lost to Ohio State, who was eventually crowned the champion. So we've lost to the last two champions of the TBT. TBT is great because it's one and done. Your pedigree, who you are as a player doesn't really matter here. It's about winning that one game. And I think we put a couple more pieces in that can help us get over the top. For me personally, it's a showcase for people at home in the States for overseas guys, because quite often it's hard to find our games on TV and figure out what channel and what website. So it's an opportunity for them to see us here at home and get a chance to see how we play the game. So it's fun. I'm excited.
So we're going to talk, because you said it might be difficult to find the games. I got to find a streaming link somewhere. We got to find it. I definitely want to be tuning into these games. It's funny you mentioned Xavier Simpson. I actually did a breakdown of him when he was with the OKC Blue during the G League bubble. So I have nothing to do for the whole team when you're playing with them too. I'm kind of just seeing what's going on. It'll definitely be a fun time. But so much cool stuff going on with TBT and what we're doing this season. I mean, the one thing in terms of after basketball, obviously we do our homework here at Gen Z Hoops. I noticed on one of the Dayton, the personal data section pages, it said that your goal is to play in the NBA, which you're still doing now and trying to do now through all these things overseas and with TBT. But you also said to play in the NBA or to become an ESPN broadcaster. I mean, is that still a goal that you have in terms of speaking and kind of talking about the game that you love to play so much? Yeah,
absolutely, man. I think I've had a tremendous amount of experience. I mean, I've played basketball since I was 5 years old. And as I get older, I still have some years left to try and play for sure. But just, understanding the game, watching the game, seeing how the game moves. And I've had the chance to play here in the States, and I've also had the chance to play in Europe. So I feel like I have a good combination of both sides of basketball. And it could happen still, just anytime I get to talk shop with someone who knows about basketball, who understands the game, it's always a delightful experience. I think I could get on TV. A lot of it is just the practice and, doing things like this and talking sports, but something I'm definitely still interested in. Hopefully it could come to fruition at some point one day.
And then in terms of someday might come sooner rather than later in terms of your introduction to just speaking and being on camera and talking about the game you love. With the podcast, we're not sure the name yet. We're just still in TBD, but whether it's called Bridge the Gap or whatever this podcast you might be starting this summer might be, while you're playing TBT, I mean, what's that going to look like, and how are you going to set the building blocks for what I think would be a great career in broadcasting when you're done playing? Yeah, absolutely.
This podcast that I'm working on right now, like you said, it's still currently in the works. It's probably going to be called Bridge the Gap. And basically my idea is, we have a lot of separation in our world today, everything, COVID, racial divide. There's a lot of different things that are separating us and spreading us. And, basically I want to create an aura. I want to create an environment of inclusiveness, of unity, of bringing people together, just because, in my experience, I've been to 6 or 7 countries just to play basketball. I've been to countless more. I've met people from different religions, different cultures, different races. And my idea is to have guests on and for them to talk about their personal experiences and just give people who are not from where they're from an idea of what it's like to be them. to create a more inclusive environment of people just understanding that we're not really so different. And, we're a lot alike in more ways than we think. And, I'm going to have a variety of different guests. We're going to talk hoops. We're going to talk culture. And we're just going to create, this mindset that we're not so different, whether you're a basketball player or a normal person from an entirely different country. I want to create an idea and a mindset of bringing people together.
I love it. And that's right there. That's probably the only mindset to have in terms of how are we going to bridge that gap? Maybe definitely use basketball to do that, because what better way is there to do anything than to put basketball on top of it, and everyone's kind of more into it at that point.
Absolutely.
Devin, definitely so many cool things going on. Thank you so much for coming on. And where can our listeners maybe keep up with you, follow up with what you're doing with TBT, all these overseas leagues, and then on social media? Like how can they keep up with you and make sure they're up to date with all things Devin Oliver?
Yep, I keep it pretty fresh and routine on my social media accounts. At the Underdog5, at the _Underdog5. That's both Twitter and Instagram. I try and keep people up to date with my life as much as I can. And yeah, I'll be dropping some news on there with the podcast coming up here pretty soon. So look out for that. And John, I appreciate you having me on, man. Always a good opportunity to talk basketball.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.